want you to just leave it like it is?
Just leave it with this. We'll just leave it with this last.
Go live for the last minute one.
Yeah,
That's what we did the last one.
Yeah, we went live like the last minute of warm-ups, and then we were like,
Listen, I don't give a shit. Chat it. Let's do it.
right.
Yeah, I got you.
You got your cheat sheet?
You have me running your camera.
Yeah.
Which is not happening in the next game. Your turn. Next game is your turn.
I also want to announce that my cousin in that too for Hendricken.
Why, who's not Connor? Who's next?
Yeah, mom's side.
Don't go hitting my camera with your shit.
No, I'm trying to untangle myself.
Stop. Doesn't it unplug?
I'm good. I got it.
Wait, this one doesn't unplug, but the other one does?
No, it doesn't unplug from the headset. It unplugs. I'm like scared to unplug this cable because that's what's connected, and I don't want to lose the signal.
Don't unplug it then. Just go like this. Okay, what makes sense.
Yeah. It got tied up.
Alright, okay.
It got tied up. Because I was expecting being over there.
Hang on. Another thing you guys gotta remember is untangle your shit.
Yeah, I had expecting being over there. Yeah. You can go up over top.
I wouldn't.
No
way.
Not enough slack.
Right there.
Yep, right there.
I don't care if you hit me. Check. Check.
Check, check. Check, check. Check, check.
Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, and now Sunday. It's hockey every day in Rhode Island. Welcome to another edition of RIIL Boys Ice Hockey on SFBN Rhode Island, coming to you today from the Dennis Lynch Ice Arena in Pawtucket, Rhode Island. It is the Bishop Hendricken Hawks and the Moses Brown Quakers. Up in the broadcast booth, Matt Jolis alongside Chris Carbone. And Chris, we saw Hendricken yesterday in a very tight battle that they were able to come away with. Moses Brown we have not seen yet this season, but they are a very notable school in Rhode Island hockey.
Yeah, I mean, one thing to look today is going to be freshman goalie number 31, Camden Lucier in net. He's been the starter since game one. We'll see how he can do against a powerhouse of Hendricken.
For Hendricken, a few scratches today. Noah Mertz, Steve Nardelli, Brian Foster, Chris Cambio, Will Kavanaugh, and Jack Hornstein also all scratched, just healthy scratches for Hendricken.
Also in net for Hendricken, we'll see number 35, junior goalie Drew Carr in net for Hendricken.
Moses Brown in the white with blue and gray trimming. Hendricken in the green and gold with white numbers. And Hendricken usually starts their season with an aforementioned green and gold game, but due to COVID-19 and all of the things going around, they were unable to have that game, and also got their season pushed back a little from when they were able to start. So 15 minutes on the clock as the teams skate out to center ice, and we are going to get set for the face-off here. It's going to be Gabriel Mamdani at the dot alongside Griffin Crane. Sorry, take that back. It's going to be Nate Palumbo actually there. And it's off, and Hendricken has control of it as it comes back onto the stick of Giuliano. That is Alex Giuliano, one of the two Giuliano brothers who play on this team, as it kicks around to the end boards. Now controlled here by Moses, trying to move it out of the zone. They do it, but it's just evading everyone. This is going to go all the way down. No icing, as there was a Hendricken player back in the defensive zone. So he will pick it up, and it will come off to Harry Giuliano. Moving up the line now here is Alex Giuliano, and it's dumped into the zone onto the stick of Palumbo. Moved around and then taken off by Moses Brown as they try to clear out the zone. Hendricken bothers them a little bit. Finally, they do onto the stick of Owen Farrell. Comes down and tapped behind the cage off of that stick of Drew Carr. And now worked up here along the sideboards. Coming across for it is Moretti. Shot on goal there by number 10, Owen Leahy, and that is saved by Lucier. First point of action for Lucier as this one pops right back in front, and right standing there was Moretti, but he was unable to put it home, and here's a run back for Bernard. Take it on to the end boards here. Worked back along. Right out to the circle, onto the stick of Agarwal. Sends it in. Comes across the goal mouth. No one there for Moses. And the Hendricken defense will collect, trying to clear the zone here. 13:31 left to go in the first period of action. A shot there off the stick of Aiden Agarwal. And it comes right on to the pad of Carr. And the net is dislodged from its moorings. And we will get a stoppage of play with a face-off.
We've seen a shot on goal from both Moses Brown and Hendricken this game, still 0-0 on the scoreboard. But looking to see Hendricken set up more of an offense here rather than just dealing with straight fast breaks.
Face-off here and a false start on the face-off, so we will do it again. Now it comes off onto the stick and tapped around for a second off of that of Hornstein. Sorry, check that off of O'Farrell. Now moved back around here. And a stoppage of play as they tie up. A tussling of multiple players at the board and just pinned the puck. And we're actually getting a penalty call here, and it's going to be 2 minutes for tripping to number 2, Owen O'Farrell. And Hendricken's going to go on the power play for the first time tonight.
Yeah, already a tough call for Moses Brown to have to deal with, as they will be a man down for 2 minutes. Hendricken with the power play.
13:09 left to go in the first, and the first 2 minutes in the sin bin for Moses Brown goes to Owen O'Farrell. Face off here, one for a second by Moses Brown, and then finally turned over, and Hendricken will try to get the power play started up. This is Griffin Crane. Sent into the center, trying to get it onto the stick of Giuliano. Comes back out for Crane. Worked back along. Shot and a score for Hendricken. From number 10, Owen Leahy, a power play goal with 12:51 left to go in the first.
Great way, very early in that power play, only 17 seconds in the power play as Hendricken answers with a quick goal.
So Owen Leahy has put the Hawks up 1-0 here early on the power play goal. And a whistle as the penalty box door was still open. And now finally they get it closed, so the faceoff goes, and it's going to be tapped back by Alessandro. Moved along here at the neutral zone. Tried to pick up as the Agarwal there. Sent back with Hendricken moving 3 players into the zone. Pops back out onto the stick of Giuliano. Has an opportunity there, and that's sticked aside. Comes back around here now at the blue line. Moved around for a second before it dicks off of the sideboard and comes back out. Controlled here by Giuliano. Shot on goal there, goes wide and hits some traffic before, so it never actually is seen by Lucier. This one comes back out now. Moved around, pops up off of Lucier and then over top of the cage. Back to the blue line here, worked in by Giuliano. Now onto the stick of DeFelice as he tries to move it along, and Giuliano will recollect it. Come back out to the blue line for Dean. Rubbed off the play there and then picked up by Moses Brown and moved through as they're going to try to make a line change, lose Drew Gaiman all alone by himself. Sorry, check that. That's Cameron Bernard. And now this comes all the way back to the end boards. Controlled for a second here. Worked alongside by Garneau. Opportunity right in front and patted away by Carr, and a delayed penalty coming up, and we're going to finally get the whistle and a slashing call.
Opportunity there for the Quakers on that one to put one in the back of the net, but denied by goaltender and some good defense.
So now Pearson is going to go to the box for 2 minutes for slashing, and Moses Brown will have their first power play opportunity of the game. Face off on the dot there. That's Alessandro lining up along with Leahy. And the referee's not exactly liking Oh, not liking the player who was on the ice, so it's going to send number 7, Aiden Agarwal, back to the box. He did not like the substitution that Moses Brown was trying to pull. 11:18 left to go in the first. Face-off one here. Shot by O'Farrell wide of the cage there. Pops back out off of the end boards onto the stick of Rowan Agarwal. And then Hendricken is able to move it out to the neutral zone for a second before it's picked up by O'Farrell. He carries back into the offensive zone, and Moses Brown will try to get their power play set up as O'Farrell just decides to rifle it on net. It hits off of the end boards, caroms all the way back out to center ice, and they will recollect. Bothered on the play there from Moretti. Carried back in now by Rowan Agarwal. Sent back on the end boards, and it's just swept all the way around and all the way down the ice from Panaki. And a shot that came right off the edge of the end boards, popped out to the post, and standing right there was Nate Palumbo, and it's a shorthanded goal for Hendricken with 10:36.
Huge mistake once again by the Quakers. On a power play, you can't be giving up goals, and that's a great shorthanded goal to put Hendricken up 2-0 early in this first period.
And I apologize, I mispronounced it. It's Penicini. So quickly 2-0 Hendricken with 10:36 left to go, as they have gotten a shorthanded goal on top of a power play goal. So no goals scored in regulation play, interestingly, as we still have 1:05 left to go on the power play for Moses. This has worked out here along to the blue line for Rowan Agarwal. Now bothered off of that play and sent back in. Palumbo here has an opportunity. That was trying to go onto the stick of Harry Giuliano. Instead pops out to his brother Alex. Cousin, sorry. Thank you for correcting me on that one. This is why we have statisticians in the press box, because we get all those interesting notes. So they are cousins that play on the same team. Kicked out around here, now worked along the sideboards for Owen O'Farrell. This one comes all the way across to the opposite blue line. It is actually an onside play, and then actually it's not, as the opposite side referee calls offsides. Quick moving, even with the 2 goals, first 5 and change. Face-off opportunity here, dropped down, one back by Mandami. Works on the back line to Travers. Moved up along here, trying to deke through multiple players. And Mandami shot, and a save by Carr as it goes into the catching glove. And so we will get a face-off to his right.
Moses Brown staying aggressive, taking a lot of quick shots. I think they need to settle in more, waste some more clock, get something together, and get something open.
15 seconds left to go on the power play. This one kicks out to the blue line onto the stick of Travers. Travers has an opportunity here. It goes into the net! A quick wristing goal coming off of the stick of Max Travers. And Moses Brown has got one back with 9:26 left to go in the first. Who knew we would see 3 goals in the first 5 and change of play?
It's a great shot by the sophomore, Max Travers, on that one to answer quickly back.
So Moses Brown has gained 1 back on the power play, and we have seen 3 goals, 2 on power play, 1 on a shorthanded, so not a single regulation goal yet here. And here's a run of play down to the defensive zone. It's going to evade the stick of Griffin Crane, and then will be pinned to the ice by Carr.
Once again, going back to that last possession and last shot by Max Travers, that was a great way to answer. Moses Brown went down quick 2-0, but that's not phasing them as they're continuing to fire shots on net.
9:05 left to go in the first. Face off here. Opportunity won by Moses Brown for a second before it kicks off onto the stick of Crane, and then he will work it up along the side boards. Controlled here by Palumbo. Palumbo carrying across, fires, that goes wide. Kicks off the end boards, comes back up onto the stick of Crane one more time. Crane fires into the bread basket of Lucier, and he will hold on for a stoppage of play.
Great save right in the bread basket. My apologies for that one for the freshman goalie, number 31.
Sounded like you said bracket. Are you thinking about March Madness already?
Man, when that comes, that'll be exciting.
Worked here along the blue line, taken off for a second by Giuliano. Then it's kicked back out by Moses Brown, back into Giuliano's hand. He taps it down to his stick, and then it goes deep into the zone and comes around the end boards for Moses Brown and Aiden Agarwal. Rubbed off of the play here and then picked back up by Alessandro, and Alessandro is going to deflect it off of the glass, and it's going to crisscross the ice to the opposite direction. Losing an edge there and tumbling down was Giuliano, and it's picked back up by the aforementioned player and sent back to the blue line. Moses will dump it in off of the stick of Noah Silverman, and they will change their lines. So Hendricken will carry it out of play with 7:53 left to go here in the first. Thank you for joining us tonight on SFBN Rhode Island, the home of RIIL boys ice hockey. Throughout the remainder of the season, we have been able to bring a slew of exciting games for you over the first few weeks of the season and what's going to be a very fast-paced rush to the end of February and the RIIL playoffs. This one kicks back out, now deflected off of the sideboards and then finally controlled for a second by Colton Whitfield, and then it comes all the way back down. Crane will take it skating all the way around the backside of his cage, and they will try to tic-tac-toe pass, but that doesn't work as it's intercepted right there at the center of the blue line by O'Farrell. O'Farrell fires one in, and that's gloved down by Carr. Now worked out here along the end boards through the sideboards, and then switching to Moretti. Moretti will dump it in, and the Hawks will change. Controlled here on the end boards and pinned to the end boards as a couple of different Hendricken players finally worked out to the blue line onto the stick of Giuliano. Sent back into the center, and that one doesn't find the net, and it's kicked back out. And here's a running play from Alessandro. He's 1v1 on the goal, has a shot, and scores! Alessandro took it the length of the ice. 1v1 to the goaltender, and it's all knotted at 2.
What a great shot on that one by Moses Brown, sophomore. The sophomores are getting active for Moses Brown today. Make that 2 for them as he has the nice forehand, backhand finishing for Moses Brown, knotting this at 2 apiece with 6:35.
And that is the first goal that we've seen in regulation play tonight, as the other previous 3 goals scored came on either penalty power play goals or penalty shorthanded goals. Here's Hendricken now moving it along. This is DeFelice, has an opportunity there, shoots, it goes wide and caroms around back to the blue line, and then it's kicked off of the sideboards by Aiden Agarwal and sent back into the defensive zone. Hendricken clacks it off of this glass, sort of directly in front of our broadcast position, comes back out onto the stick of O'Farrell. He moves it along, but he's bothered by multiple Hendricken defenders, and so they carry it out on the stick of Giuliano. Has an opportunity there, nothing there, as it just squibs wide of the net, comes back out to the cage, and then it's shot from the blue line for a second by Drowan, but that hit traffic. This one comes across and has to be patted aside by Lucier. All the way down the ice, and icing will be called. 5:36 left to go.
This has been an action-packed first 10 minutes, I'll tell you that for sure. We've already seen a lot of shots on net, and we've already seen 4 of them hit the back of the net.
There's a lot of times in hockey where 4 goals is about all you'll see in a game. We've seen 4 goals in the first period of play.
Yeah, and we still got a whole nother 5:30 left.
First 2/3 of a period of play, so to speak. As this one's worked here along the sideboards for a second, controlled, and then finally shot on goal there coming from Moretti, but that has hit some traffic and then comes back out onto the stick of Moses Brown. A big collision right at center ice. And Hendricken has an opportunity the opposite way. Here's a backhanded chance from Moretti, but that is sticked aside by Lucier. Camden Lucier is standing pretty tall to the task, coming up with some big saves. Otherwise, this game could be a lot more different than a 2-2 storyline. This one's going to kind of squib around here, and then it's going to go up and out of play, hitting the side netting above the glass. So we'll get a stoppage of play and a face-off in the circle.
Just like how you were mentioning, I mean, we've seen two goals on the game so far for Hendricken already, but once again, a lot of great saves by the freshman goalie in white, keeping them in this game overall, I'll tell you that for sure.
Face-off opportunity here. And a false start on that face-off and actually going to get kicked out of it. And then so finally it's going to be actually Agarwal who takes the face-off and then carries the puck up ice into the central zone. Sticked around for a second and then finally pops into the defensive zone and will be controlled by the Hawks. Gets sent up. Now here at the blue line, O'Farrell intercepts, carries it across, fires, and that comes off of the pad and then off of the stick of Drew Carr into the netting for a stoppage of play.
Seeing a lot of fast skates on both teams for this one. And a little bit of a different game from last night's game with the LaSalle and Cumberland game where we haven't seen much scoring. This one is a complete opposite.
Face off here now, controlled for a second by Moses, but then they are dumped down out of the play as the Hendricken defense rubs them out. This one comes all the way back to center ice and a flying stick for a second, but it's controlled by Harry Giuliano. Rubs a player in that of Noah Silverman to the boards, and Moses Brown actually takes the puck, carries it back out, and this is Alessandro who works it around the end boards all the way out to the blue line, picked up here by Hendricken, moved along now on the stick of Palumbo, carried across into DeFelice. DeFelice is rubbed out of the play, and Moses Brown will flick it back out, and it will come all the way to the opposing blue line for a second. And now we will get some back and forth neutral ice action as both teams try to figure out. Here's an opportunity by Alessandro, and that's patted aside by Carr. This one's going to come all the way down the ice, and they will let it go for icing. Drew Carr just came up big there.
Yeah, that was two open opportunities for Moses Brown right there. But standing on his head is number 35 in net for Green.
So a face-off opportunity here with 3:39 left to go. This one kicks all the way back out and then is controlled by Hendricken right at the blue line and carried all the way out, skating hard as Moretti works it along to the end boards. He's going to have to go back into the center. It comes right off to the post, and Lucier has to stand tall, fired back in again, and Lucier another save. And now some extracurricular activities occurring in front of the net as we were going to get a delayed offsides, and that gets negated as the puck squibs all the way down to the end line. No icing on the play, and so we continue on with 3 minutes left to go. This one goes at a twisted shot, and a score from Owen O'Farrell as the puck caromed off of the end boards and came right out, and he put it just in between the post and the arm of Drew Carr. 3-2 Quakers.
Once again, another great shot on goal and another great opportunity. I feel like I've already said this twice today. Another sophomore putting it in the back of the net. The underclassmen killing it for Moses Brown right now.
It is a show of the fiery youngsters today as the sophomore class seems to be lighting it up on the ice and lighting up the scoreboard as we go with 2:55 left to go here in the first. 3-2 Quakers leading the Hawks. Not exactly what you could have imagined coming into this game. And here you go again very quickly. It's Cameron Bernard. This comes right across the center of the goal and is put in by Aiden Agarwal.
Wow, is all I have to say. I'm speechless right now. Moses Brown right now, we're talking a team that is sort of rebuilding. We're 13 minutes in and we have 4 goals on Hendricken now. 4 goals for White.
And 6 total in the game if you add in the 2 that have scored by Hendricken. A fast-paced and very frenetic first period of play. 2:42 left to go. Face-off here controlled by Moses Brown. This one's worked along the sideboards for a second by Giuliano. Bumped off of the play. And now there'll be a couple of different players sticking it across. And this goes back onto the stick of Alessandro, who has one goal tonight as he tumbles down to the ice, losing an edge of play there as it comes around the end boards and is worked out back out to the blue line. Sent back in on the stick of Garneau. Now back to center ice again, and it will just be tapped back in off the stick of Tyler Rose. They will control it here at the end boards, and this time it's going to be Garneau tumbling to the ice, and we are going to get a penalty for cross-checking. And headed to the box will be Colton Whitfield for 2 minutes.
Costly mistake for the Hawks, closing in on the end of this first period, some sort of tempo, looking to hopefully go into the second period with any sort of positivity, as it's been a very downhill second half of the first period, and that's another costly penalty. Don't want to be seeing that.
So with 1:59 left to go here in the first period and 2 minutes on the box, they're going to get the majority of their power play in this period, and then 1 second of penalty time when we start the second period of play, in a face-off opportunity here as a couple of players collide and tumbling to the ice, and the puck will send all the way down, controlled for a second by Lucier, and then finally picked up by Max Travers. He will carry it out to the neutral zone, and then it will get bumped off of the play, sent back in by Dean, and Travers will collect it, sending up to the unboards in the final buck, 35 to go. Carried up for a second by Garneau. Garneau is bothered off of the play. The puck tumbles around in the neutral zone, and then finally Garneau will send it deep as the Quakers will change. Carried across here now by Leahy. Leahy moves it through the neutral zone. He's rubbed off of the play by Bernard, and the Quakers have control one more time. Moving here across the blue line, Bernard in the final minute 5, and this one's going to come all the way down. Lucier is just going to stick that aside. Picked up by Agarwal. Behind the cage and then finally moved out. Blue line pass for O'Farrell. Comes back across neutral zone pass. Then controlled here on the stick of Agarwal, and he fires, and that's patted aside by Carr. Controlled here in the corner. Moved back out now for Alessandro. Alessandro trying to find a shooting lane. He doesn't. This is sticked aside, carried all the way down by Palumbo. 1v1, and he goes backhand, and Lucier blocks away the opportunity. Comes back in, center of the ice. Open goal and a score by Giuliano. And a comeback goal, another short-handed one, puts Hendricken 4-3 with 24 left to go in the period.
Remember how it was just about a minute ago saying how Hendricken needs to go into the second period with some positivity? That's definitely a statement goal right there. Second short-handed goal today for the Green.
A big comeback goal, 1v1 essentially, and a little bit of conversation. The Moses Brown net is actually off of its moorings, so that has occurred, and the referee also over talking with the Moses Brown bench. I believe in the midst of all this, it's possible Hendricken may have actually called a timeout, and we didn't even see the referee's signals. We had the net off of its moorings going on over here. You had Cameron Bernard having a conversation with the referees. The Moses Brown coaches having a conversation with the referees, and in all of that, Hendricken called a timeout.
Listen, this first period has been total chaos, without a doubt, as we've seen 7 goals in the first 15 minutes of play. I mean, wow. I mean, everyone in the box right now is speechless at this one.
I've been watching hockey for quite a long time, longer than I've been calling play-by-play for hockey, but I have to say, 7 goals in the first 14 minutes of play is not something you normally see, even at the high school level. Not something you normally see as this caroms around the end boards, controlled here in the corner for a second, sent back out onto the stick of Moretti. Moretti's going to carry it across, 10 seconds left to go here in the first. Carrying, he's bothered on 2 zones there by Travers and also by Agarwal. And then it's going to finally come out to the sideboards as the horn will sound, and we have completed the first 15 minutes of play. And if you are watching the stream on sfbnri.com or sfbnri.live and you see the scoreboard saying 4-3, you are not dreaming. We have seen 7 goals in the first period of play.
Yeah, once again, I mean, at least we see Hendricken going into the second period with some positivity, as they went down giving up 4 goals, but towards the last couple seconds of that, we saw Hendricken scoring a man-down goal for the second time today. So that's some good positivity going into the start of the second period.
Certainly a lot of things that are the storylines of this game. And one thing that we did want to mention, as we are calling, of course, a Moses Brown game, Coach Larry Tremblay was awarded the Bill Belisle Award for service to the hockey community. Due to the pandemic, they were unable to have a banquet last year honoring him for the award winning. For Tremblay, he was a player for 3 years at Mount St. Charles and then 3 years at Providence College before going into coaching 4 years at Mount St. Charles, 4 years at Brown University, and the last 22 years at Moses Brown that has produced 3 state championships and sent 35-plus players onto the NCAA college level. In Rhode Island hockey, he is the past president of the Hockey Coaches Association, the RIIL Hockey Executive Board, and has worked with the RIIL as a league scheduler. And we just wanted to mention a shout-out there to Coach Larry Tremblay, the Bill Belisle Award winner for 2020.
It's pretty impressive right there. Some pretty impressive stats you just mentioned right there.
22 years at Moses Brown, 3 state championships, over 35 players sent on to play college hockey. That is
35.
One impressive. Well, it says 35 plus on the note that I was given, so we don't know what the exact number is, but it's definitely up there.
Listen, coming from someone that's been around the high school sports and is currently in it, you don't see many Rhode Island athletes go in Division I. We'll maybe see 10 every single year from all the different sports, boys and girls. But to see 35 plus, that's incredible, especially from Rhode Island.
So 15 minutes on the clock as we get ready for the second period of play. 1 second left remaining on the penalty to Whitfield, and a 4-3 Quakers over the Hawks scoreline. As we start the second period of play, it pops back onto the stick of Petacchini and Pettini, and it's now worked along the end boards. This one's kicked out and then saved for a second there by Carr. And then worked here to the neutral zone, carried across by Giuliano. Onto the stick and fired into Lucier, and a shot, they score! And all of a sudden, we've got a tie game as Palumbo has put one into the net, and it's all knotted at 4, just 32 seconds in.
The scoring onslaught continues for Hendricken as they put in their 4th goal of the game. Way to answer right at the start of the second. Tie this bad boy up at 4.
8 goals in 15 and a half minutes of hockey. This is something special tonight. Thank you all for tuning in on the RIIL Boys Hockey Sunday Game 1 of 2 that we will have for you, as we do have one game following us coming up from West Warwick Civic Center between Prout and Mount St. Charles. That game kicks off at 8 o'clock. This one worked here along the blue line and then carried into the zone on the stick of Leahy, and then worked along the sideboards there by Whitfield. Carried back out to the blue line, shot in, that goes wide, and the Hawks will make a quick line change there, actually just changing a defensive pairing But the puck squibs around the end boards, comes off to the side, and then all the way down, and we will get an icing and a stoppage of play with 13:41 to go in the second.
100% very fast-paced, tempoed hockey game, as we can see not only on the ice, as on the scoreboard as well.
Face off here for Hendricken. That's going to be won by Hendricken as Stefan Hauser has the win. And then it cocks out for the side. Picked up there and then moved around the end boards and then to the sideboards. And then now kicked out and will carry around. Drew Gaiman will pick that up. Sent all the way back to the opposite blue line. No control there. This one's going to come all the way back out. And for a second was on the stick of Garneau. A little bit of back-forth hockey going on here. Both teams trying to figure out what their next strategic positioning will be. A bunch of players tumbling down and going down to the ice was Stephen Hauser. And within all of that was a holding penalty called on Drew Gaiman.
Penalty, tough penalty. We've seen numerous amount of penalties. I'm pretty sure this is the third penalty we have seen for the Hawks today. Undisciplined hockey. I mean, we have to see some better defense and better just control on that one.
Face off here coming up to the right of the cage of Carr. For a second popped out and then finally controlled by Hendricken. They're actually going to get it outside of the zone. O'Farrell will have it. He's going to have to skate it back and recollect. Cross ice pass. Now worked here across the blue line on the stick of Agarwal. Comes back around the sideboards, controlled by Bernard, trying to work the opposite direction. He's going to have to reverse. Comes off with a wraparound, and it hits the post and is pinned by Carr for a stoppage of play with 12:43 in the second.
As we've mentioned earlier, a lot of goals scored so far in this game. But it's good for these goalies to stay cool, calm, and collective, as there is still plenty of hockey left in this one.
Couple of last-minute line changes there for Hendricken as they worked this one on the outside, and they were able to get it outside of the blue line, and so Moses Brown will have to recollect, and still bothering there is Owen Dean. Now worked here along by O'Farrell. Comes across the blue line, controlled it for a second, and then sent out of the play is Crane, and the Hawks penalty kill is working efficiently here. Bothered on that play and then sent back for a second as Agarwal, and then it's finally moved into the zone and then just dumped down through. Kicks around the end boards and will come back out. Now controlled by Agarwal. Moves it across. No opportunity there. Back one more time. A shot and a save by Carr as he freezes it in between the pads, and a few extracurricular activities in the net knocked off of its moorings one more time.
We're seeing a lot better of a defense, maybe a little different scheme going into the second period, but great goaltend play by number 35, Drew Carr, and the whole rest of the defense backing him up on that one.
Face-off coming here. And that will be kicked back and then won by Giuliano. Works it along the end boards. Pinned there is Garneau. Now coming into it is Madami. Finally kicks out, and it's onto the stick of a Hendricken player moving fast as Palumbo. Works to the side, and then it's put on net by Giuliano, but Lucier pads it away. Now here in the end boards and then controlled up to the blue line for a second is London. Pops off of his stick. Worked around and then taken one more time by Tyler Rhodes as he tumbles down to the ice, and it goes all the way down into the defensive zone. Opportunity here right at the top of the circle. A shot that came off of the stick of Gunnar London, and then a second opportunity coming from Noah Silverman, and Carr freezes the puck for a face-off as the penalty comes to a conclusion.
That was great defense in that 2-minute span right there, fighting off that penalty kill, playing with a man down. We only saw about 2 or 3 shots on goal. Drew's only faced a couple. Looking like great defense. Looked like they turned it around the second period.
And a conversation between the referee and the scoring table, which is directly below our broadcast position. Not entirely sure exactly what they're talking about, but... And now they're going to skate over to the Hendricken bench and have a conversation. And I'm sure the Moses Brown coaches are going to want a conversation as well, too. As usually tends to be when you see a referee go. And actually, no, they're just going to skate away. So something said there, but we continue on play as normal. Worked around here and then carried back out. Shot, and it's patted aside by Lucier. Kicks out, fired again. That one hits traffic, so Lucier actually never saw it, and it's carried out of the zone by Alessandro. And this one will carry him off of the end boards and then will be pinned to the ice by Carr.
Hendricken looking good in this second period of play. We're again down to around 9:20 into this second period. A lot better defense, and we've seen a couple good shots on net from both teams.
Face off here, kicked back to the end boards and controlled on the stick of Drowan. Works back along. Switch play here, carried by Palumbo. Comes all the way back out, evades that of Dean, and so he will peel off play. This one is fired along and then deflects up off of the body of Tyler Rose over top of the cage. Approaching the 10-minute mark left to go here in the second period of play. A 4-4 game is shot, and a score from the top of the circle has now put the Hawks up 5-4 on the goal by Jack Drowan.
Great shot on that one. Absolute one-timer from the top of the blue line as Jack Drowan finds the back of the net as they'll take the 5-4 lead in the middle of the second period.
And a timeout called by Moses Brown as they have seen themselves go up 4-2 to now be trailing 5-4.
Yeah, tough. I guarantee you that's what the Moses Brown coach is getting right in their heads about. 3 unanswered quick goals. I'll also mention, as we've seen 3 goals from Hendricken in the past 10 minutes of play. They came out this second period ready to play, I'll tell you that for sure. The changes were made.
Just shy of 5 minutes into this second period of play, and already we have seen a hard change in the scoring. I know these are two very talented schools, but did you expect 9 goals in 20 minutes of play?
Listen, I'll be honest with you. I didn't expect 9 goals in 45 minutes of play, let alone halfway through the second period. And another thing that I'd like to say, even though this second period looked like it's been in favor of Hendricken, I'm impressed with Moses Brown. Coming into this game with a very young roster and going up against such a powerhouse that Hendricken is, Moses Brown's been hanging in this game. And like we've been mentioning, we've seen 3 goals by 3 different underclassmen for the Quakers. So let's see if they can change this up after this timeout going into the rest of the second period.
So face-off coming up here at center ice after the goal. And it's going to be Mertz there alongside O'Farrell, who controls it for the Quakers and then worked back along to the blue line. Shot here by the aforementioned Stephen Hauser this time.
That was a good glove save. Good glove save by number 31. That's Camden Lucier, the freshman goalie. As we see another Hendricken Hawk going to the penalty box. It's going to be number 5, Drew Gaiman.
Sorry, I made a mistake on looking at the numbers. Number 21 is Stephen Hauser, and I apologize for that. As I said, Noah Mertz's name, who's on the roster line directly below him. Mertz is a healthy scratch today. This one's now kicked out of play for a second and then controlled here on the stick of Bernard. Fires in, that pops over top of and goes to the back of the cage. Now kicked back out for Carr again, and then has an opportunity. He pads it aside. Comes back, blue line, fired right from the blue line by O'Farrell into the catching mitt of Carr and a stoppage of play.
That was a great glove save on that one by Carr. But once again, another costly penalty from this Hendricken Hawk team. I'll tell you right now, Coach Mike Sosha, down over for Hendricken, is definitely not happy with the performance currently with the amount of just penalties in this game. We've seen 5 already.
Quite animated on the bench has been the Hendricken coaching staff, having a few words with the players. This one kicks all the way down to the end boards. Will be no icing as Moses Brown is currently on the power play. 1:22 left to go in the power play. 9:17 left to go here in the second period. Sticked aside here and now controlled for a second at the blue line and then finally taken away. Bothered out of that is Giuliano. Has an opportunity here, fires one, and that's patted aside by Lucier. Moses Brown now here trying to carry it out of the zone. Hits a lot of snow in front of the bench, and so it kind of dies for a second before they are able to scoop it out and then bring it back across the opposite side of the ice. And a stoppage of play with another penalty. 2 minutes for slashing coming up to number 7, Aiden Agarwal, and that's going to negate the 52 seconds of power play time. So we're going to have 4-a-side hockey for 52 seconds, and then we will see a Hendricken power play.
We've seen some sloppy hockey earlier in this game. Lots of penalties.
Controlled here around the backside of the cage. Pinned to the sideboards there was Dean. Works it out to the blue line. Fired here on goal. And then pops back out. Controlled here right at center ice and taken for a second by Drowan. Drowan works along to the end boards. Carries it to the front of the cage. Opportunity there. And then a second opportunity on the backhand from Crane. Hits some traffic. This one comes back across. Hits traffic again. Dean tries to do backhand and goes wide. Comes back to the blue line. Fired again by Drowan. And that was Crane trying to go for a rifling shot, and he just misfires. And so Moses Brown will work it to the opposite side of the ice. As the penalty has expired in 1:05 of power play time now for the Hawks. But it's the Quakers with the puck carrying across as Bernard. Bernard is just sandwiched out and still somehow in the midst of all that had control of the puck. But it is saved by Carr. And Carr gives a little bit of a head tap to Bernard, just saying, job well done, sir.
Yeah, once again, we're seeing Hendricken looking a lot towards number 20, Jack Drowan, as they're looking to feed him from that blue line for that slap shot.
Face off here, won for a second by Moses Brown. This one fires and deflects off of a couple of different sticks as Alessandro was looking for his second of the game. And instead, this one ends up in the netting above and behind the net.
Hendricken will be man up currently for the next 48 seconds, looking to set up some sort of offense and move that and switch zones.
7:37 left to go in the second. Game 1 of 2 tonight on SFBN Rhode Island. Controlled here and from his knees is Alessandro. A knuckle puck that just floats right into the catching glove of Carr.
That might have been one of the easiest saves I think Drew Carr will make all night.
It was just floating along there for a second. Little slow flyer. Though you have to admit the talent to be able to shoot that from your knees was pretty impressive. This one comes across the back line here and now worked out to the sideboards for a second as Palumbo carries it into the zone. Picked up here by Leahy. Moved around on the sideboards now for Whitfield. Pops it back right into the center that landed on a stick of Giuliano. Sorry, check that out, Moretti, and then rolls out of play. Controlled here by Leahy, carries it into the zone. 7 seconds left to go on the power play. Trying to get anything possible. They will do not, and it will now be controlled here on full strength hockey for a second by Palumbo. Pinned at the end boards, worked out to the blue line. Whitfield back to the end boards. It pops out and is right at the edge of the post and is sticked away by a couple of different Moses Brown defenders. And so it comes all the way down the ice. Both teams will line change and recollect with 6:17 left to go here in the second. A long opportunity from outside of the blue line by Travers and easily patted aside by Carr. Comes back across here, now deflecting off the stick of Rose, right at center ice area. Finally it caroms off of the glass, and then it's settled down for a second in the corner by Hornstein. Sorry, that's Ryan Staples wearing number 2 tonight. A couple of roster changes that have occurred for Hendricken in terms of numbers as well. Moved alongside here to the end boards, and it will horseshoe all the way around and then controlled in the corner and then carried out by Giuliano. Pinned in the corner as they continue to work it along the end boards. This time it's going to be Moses Brown with control of the puck, and it's deflected off as Silverman tried to clear the zone, and it goes into the netting on the side, and we'll get a stoppage of play with 5:13 left to go in the second.
We've seen a very physical game from Moses Brown, as you're seeing every single time Hendricken's touching the puck, you're seeing bodies on the puck. Anytime there's a fight on the board, you're seeing multiple bodies being flown. Great tactic. What do you think on that one?
It's been chippy, but yet still somewhat clean, though we have seen penalties that have been called. Sometimes the transgressions just occur not being meant to be done, as this one's worked along the sideboards. Now controlled here for a second onto the stick of Agarwal, who fires, and Carr has another save. This one comes all the way back out to the neutral zone. O'Farrell dumps it down into the end boards. It will horseshoe around. It'll get picked up by Bernard and then moved around at the blue line, kept in for a second by Rowan Agarwal. Now it pops out to the opposite blue line and controlled by Aiden Agarwal, and then finally sent back up, carried into the zone for O'Farrell. An opportunity right there, and it pops off of a couple of different players and is then shepherded into the net by Henry Alessandro, his second of the game. 6-5 Quakers.
Great shot on that one. Little bit of a scrum right in front of the net. Not sure if Carr could have seen that one, as the sophomore puts another one in the back of the net. That's 2 on the day for him.
4:28 left to go in the second. 6-5 Quakers. 11 goals overall. You are seeing something special this evening. Thank you for tuning in on SFPN Rhode Island. Looks like another substitution error being made, this time by Moses Brown. They get sent back in, and now we finally get the face-off, and it's controlled by Rowan Agarwal. He'll work it along in the defensive zone, trying to link up with a couple of different teammates to make a move. Instead, it's going to go all the way down the ice. There's going to be a chase here, and it's actually going to be touched up by Mamdani, and then finally worked out to the blue line. Kicks off of the boot, and then finally worked off to the side. This one pops all the way up, and they're going to say it did not go up high enough. I thought that hit the speaker for a second that hangs from the low roof here at Lynch Arena. Finally worked out into the neutral zone and then carried back in and sent all the way down. Garneau will get there first And he's rubbed off of the play by Whitfield. Now carried out. Moved along quickly here and fired by Ryan Staples. Now moved up. Controlled here at center ice. Hendricken works it along. And then it's controlled back into the end boards for a second, picked up by Max Travers. This one's going to kick all the way down and come across the end line for icing with 2:51 left to go in the second. And for both of these teams, the long break that you get between the second and third period when they do resurface the ice in high school hockey might be very welcomed.
Yeah, I'll tell you one thing. Coach Sosha, as well as the coach for Moses Brown, will definitely get into the defensive side, get in their heads. 5 goals each. That's a lot of goals in only 30 minutes.
This one's going to get fired on net for a second. Pops through a couple of different players in traffic. And then it's going to come back across for a second here and then controlled in the neutral zone by Dean. Sent back in. Worked along the end boards now. Couple of players scrumming at it. No real possession of play here as it still caroms around the horseshoe on the back of the rink and then comes out and then it's taken over for a second by Crane. He just shepherds it down and Lucier sticks it aside. As we approach the final 2 minutes to go here in the second period of play, as this one comes all the way down for icing. And you kind of feel the gas is emptying out of the tank for these two teams right now.
Yeah, you can see a little bit of slower hockey, but with 2 minutes left, I'm looking if any of these teams can get their last wind and really give it out for these last 2 minutes and try to put one in to go up with some momentum going into the third.
So a face-off here with 2:05 left to go. Kicks around the sideboards right at the blue line for a second. And then sent back into the end boards. And Moses Brown will have an opportunity here to move it out. This is going to be taken by Whitfield. Whitfield sends it across on the sideboards. Comes back out again. And he will switch the field of play to Drowan. Kicks back out and onto the stick of Leahy. Leahy moves it across. It comes right in and goes off of the boot of Jack LaRose, I believe that was. Deflected right off of somebody's skate, and it looked like it came off of LaRose right at the center of the goal mouth. Controlled now here for a second by Hendricken. Fires, and that goes wide of the cage. Buck 13 left to go. This one comes back around and Lucier has to pat it aside. And it's going to squib all the way down the ice and it will carry him off of the end boards. And with 1:02 left to go in the second, we'll get a stoppage of play and a face-off coming down in the Hawks offensive zone.
Yeah, well, I mean, 10 goals. I mean, I'm still speechless at this point. We're 2 periods in. We've seen 5 from each team so far. I mean, it's pretty impressive.
It should be 6-5. 5-5. It's only 5-5? No.
So this one's going to come carrying down again, and then it will be picked up for another icing with 52.6 to go here in the second.
Yeah, Matt, just like how you were mentioning earlier, how it looks like these teams are getting a little gassed at the closing 52 seconds, and you can see it on the ice, but we need to see something here. We need to see some shots on goal.
2 face-offs in the last 10 seconds of play, both to icings as the puck's just dumped down to the opposite side of the boards. And here we go one more time. This one's going to dump all the way down to the opposite side of the board. So 10 seconds tick off the clock, and we do this again.
I feel like we're looking at just a rewind at this point. We've seen the same face-off 3 times happen in the same place, same zone.
I'm feeling a bit of deja vu. This will be Palumbo at the dot along with O'Farrell. This one works back out. A shot off of the stick of Drowan. He's looking for his second of the game. This one's going to carry him all the way across. Now carried for a second here by O'Farrell. Worked along the end boards in the final 28 left to go. Carried out here now along from Palumbo. Palumbo works it along the sideboards, goes right to the end, comes across the mouth of the goal. Fired hard off of the stick of Crane. That goes high and wide of everything, hits the glass, caroms back out. Lucier has to pat aside for a second. This one's going to get swept down the ice. It goes off of the stick of Crane, and so that will take us to the end of the second period of action, as there will be no icing that time. So the horn will sound, and we have had 5 goals to each side, 10 goals overall in the game. I think I lost count somewhere and thought it was 11 for a second. But a wild first 30 minutes of play between the Hawks and the Quakers. We're going to get the elongated break as they resurface the ice, so we're going to take a break so that we can all have a chance to breathe. And we'll be right back with you for what will be an exciting third period of action. You're watching RIIL Boys Ice Hockey on SFPN Rhode Island. Welcome back inside Lynch Arena, and a doozy of a game between the Bishop Hendricken Hawks and the Moses Brown Quakers on SFBN Rhode Island. Thanks so much for joining in tonight. You can watch RIIL boys ice hockey action all season long on SFBN Rhode Island. Just tune in to sfbnri.com or sfbnri.live. Click the very large Watch Live button in the upper right-hand corner and select the game which you wish to view. This is game 1 of 2 this evening, as we will have Prout versus Mount St. Charles from West Warwick Civic Center, about 30 minutes down the road, coming up at 8 o'clock. And we're not going to say this because it's going to sound weird, but it will sound weird. Chris Carbone calling color commentary along with me, Matt Jolis, in the broadcast booth here at Lynch. And in about an hour and 15 minutes from now, we'll be at West Warwick calling that game as well, too.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, that's the power. We'll have 2 games for you. Another great game, which is going to be Prout Mount St. Charles. And we're getting ready here for a very contested game.
And a quick face-off, and then it's moved along here in the neutral zone, controlled for a second by Drowan. He's rubbed off of the play, and that's moved up. And a shot on goal very quickly from Cameron Bernard.
Another thing I'd like to mention is Hendricken's defense really flipped the switch in the second period. Went from giving up 4 goals in the first to only holding the Quakers to 1 goal on net.
Quick face-off here, and that's one for a second by Bernard. Worked here along the end boards and then controlled back up, dumped in. Bernard will collect it again. Behind the cage, rubbed on the play there by Drowan. Moved along here to the blue line, trying to carry outside of the zone. He finally does, and it's onto the stick of Palumbo. Palumbo carries here the length of the ice, and it's sticked off of the play by Agarwal. Right in on Lucier, then sticked aside by a couple of different defenders for Moses Brown. Carry it quickly out of the zone was Bernard. He's rubbed off the play, and then a collision at center ice there between Whitfield and Bernard, and it's sent back in as both teams will change. Carried along here now by Leahy. Leahy moves it along. Goes 1v1. It comes back in, and an opportunity there as the goaltender was drawn by Nick DeFelice. Sticked down. Now sent back across the ice. This one caroms off the sideboards and is controlled for a second by Moses Brown, and then dumped back in. Here's the aforementioned DeFelice, and he has a shot that goes just wide. Now popped out through the neutral zone. DeFelice will have to chase it back. It's picked up one more time. Now controlled through. And we've got a whistle and a puck played by high stick as Jack LaRose was starting to skate away with 13:33 left to go.
Wow. That's some great saves right there we've seen from Camden Lucia, number 31, the freshman in net. Lots of opportunities for the Hawks right there, maybe 3 or 4. None of them finding the back of the net, however.
Puck controlled here on the zone for a second. Moved around the end boards, and then finally picked up and now moved here alongside off of the stick of Leahy. Here at the side boards, and now worked along the horseshoe onto the stick of DeFelice. DeFelice moves it along. Back up to the top of the blue line, fired into traffic and sticked aside. Carried out here, now onto the stick of Garneau. Dumped down into the end boards, bumped off of the play there from Giuliano. Picked up by the Hawks defense and carried back out, now onto the stick of Crane. Crane moves it along the neutral zone. 4 Moses Brown jerseys right across the blue line in a wall. He is able to get it in onto the stick of Giuliano. Carried back out to the blue line, fired again. This one hits traffic, and it's going to come carried out by Rowan Agarwal. Possession play here at center ice. Now to the opposite side on the blue line. Coming across, trying to get it onto the stick of Alessandro. This one works along the end boards, caroms back out to neutral zone, and will be controlled by Aiden Agarwal. Dumped down in an icing and a stoppage of play with 12:19 left to go.
Another great opportunities for the Hawks. Camden Lucier standing strong in net, as we have not seen as much goal scoring as that first period, and both teams decided to both lock it down. Coach is really getting into them, and it's going to be a tight game coming down to the wire.
Shot here, and that hit the pads of Lucier and then comes back out. Controlled here on the end boards for a second. Now worked along, sideboard there for Whitfield at the blue line. Whitfield controls, switches across, fired on goal by Drowan. Comes all the way out as it hit traffic, and it's going to skate all the way down. And no icing called there, so it will be controlled again by Whitfield, sent around. Left there by Giuliano, but he had no one there. But Whitfield is able to scramble back quickly. Picked up now here by Drowan. Moved along. Across the blue line, carried through by Giuliano. Comes back across now, and again, Palumbo skates with it. It caroms across the ice and then fired on goal and sticked aside by Lucier on the shot attempt from Penachini. Controlled here now by Staples. A bump at center ice between the collision from Penachini and Alessandro, which sent Alessandro tumbling to the ice, and a stoppage of play.
Hendricken really needs to get number 20, Jack Drowan, back out on the ice, and they need to see some shots from him, as number 20 in green has an absolute rocket from the blue line, as we've already seen numerous shots almost falling for him, and he does have one today.
And Alessandro is going to go to the box for 2 minutes, and we're going to get a Hendricken power play with 11:13 to go. Controlled here for a second before it's worked along the side boards on the stick of DeFelice. Hendricken power play trying to get going. This one is deflected off of a couple of different people and goes up into the netting. It actually hit the ceiling first and then into the netting behind the goal of Lucier.
This is a really open chance for Hendricken to put something in the back of the net with the Quakers down.
This one evades the stick of the aforementioned Jack Drowan, and he has to chase it all the way back to the opposite blue line. Now worked along here by Palumbo. Carried across into the zone off the stick of Giuliano. Giuliano dumps it down. Palumbo will skate around the back of the cage. Comes right back out in the center, and Staples had an opportunity. Sorry, check that. That was number 12 of Giuliano. I saw the 2 and not the 1, and thought for a second it was Ryan Staples. This one is now sticked all the way down into the defensive zone behind the cage, shepherded by Carr, and then along to Drowan before he puts it aside to Leahy. It'll be carried into the zone by Palumbo. Palumbo stops for a second, sets back. Leahy sticks it quickly. Now back to Leahy one more time. Fires and a score! Owen Leahy has gotten the goal, and the Hawks lead 6-5.
Great opportunity right off the power play. There was only a little bit left in that power play, and they finally find one to get to the back of the net. That's the first goal we've seen in a little bit of hockey, which is surprising coming from the amount of early action we've seen in the first period. But once again, great goal by Hendricken, hopefully giving them the momentum with the final 10 minutes left to go in this third period.
And there is my 11th goal of the game finally. 6-5, Hawks over the Quakers. 10 minutes left to go in this third period of action. This one now kicks off under the stick of Hauser. Worked along into the end zone. Now comes out for Whitfield. Colton Whitfield sends it back to the end boards. It was about to horseshoe around. Instead, it is stopped for a second and controlled by Giuliano. But he is an evading pass, sending it out of play. Controlled here behind the cage by Whitfield. Sent back out. Now picked up by Staples. Pops up. Controlled back down by Drowan. Sent in, and that will be just sticked aside by Lucier on the very weak shot. Sent back in. Carr will stick this one aside as it actually kind of went wide. This one comes back in right onto Carr's padding. And then carried around the back of the cage by Whitfield. This one goes all the way down. Icing is waved off and controlled back up here on the stick of Panacchini. Controlled here for a second by O'Farrell. O'Farrell stops on a dime and then changes direction and then does it again, leaving it alone there for an opportunity from Silverman. It caromed off the end boards right back out on the stick of Noah Silverman, who actually already has one tonight. So looking for another one as we hit 8:25 left to go in the third period of action. Play here right in the neutral zone. Here's a run from Cameron Bernard. Has it. Saved by Carr. A big save as he was out and the goal was a little open behind him, but there was no Moses Brown player there for the tap-in. Worked back the opposite direction now. And a stoppage of play and a whistle as the puck was bouncing back and forth on the blue line, and they're going to call it offsides. 8:03 left to go. Quite fervent action there for a moment.
Yeah, we're seeing some action right here. We're seeing some hits. We're seeing some defense.
This one pops back out to the blue line area and then sent back across and then dumped all the way down in the zone. Pops off the end boards. Lucier will just kind of control it for a second. Fires right back in an opportunity there off of the stick of Giuliano. To the end boards and now controlled here. Moved around by Palumbo. Bothered off on the play. This one kind of goes up and down and right into the catching glove of Lucier.
Wait for Lucia to track that one down as that one hit right off the top of the roof, right into his glove. Nice snag on that one. Hopefully him looking to snag some more saves as they're down by one with only 7:38 remaining in the third. Down by one for the Quakers.
A whistle and a face-off ejection. So they'll change that play there for a second. And we will go with 7:37 left to play. And a quick shot, wristed away. And a second quick shot, Leahy and DeFelice both having opportunities there. This comes all the way down. Bothered on the play there. Alessandro was by number 23, Colton Whitfield. And now there's a scrum at the corner of the boards. And it finally is going to be horseshoed around by the Hawks defense. Caromed off of the sideboards and then finally worked around by Leahy, and the Hawks will change, so too will the Quakers. A whistle as some extracurricular activities in front of the net. .704 left to go. Face-off coming here. Just outside of the blue line. This one's going to squib back across and then come back out into the neutral zone and controlled here on the stick of Rowan Agarwal. Moved along here. Staples has an open air opportunity. Fires and a save by Lucier. Fired again on the rebound and Lucier pads it away. Carried across here now by Aiden Agarwal. Moving along. He has a couple of players with him. Fired and a save by Carr.
Another great save by number 35 in green, keeping the Hawks alive and keeping them ahead as the Quakers had a great opportunity on that fast break.
Agarwal had Silverman and Garneau along with him, but instead Carr comes up big to the task and makes the save. And here we go with a face-off won by Hendricken. This is Griffin Crane working along the end boards here. He's going to have to change direction and go reverse, and he gets it out onto the stick of Giuliano. Carries it up across the blue line, working through the neutral zone. Caroms off of the glass and out of play. Both teams still moving with an extreme amount of pace, as one goal is the difference of this game right now. And if a goal comes on the stick of the Quakers, it will be a very interesting development, as that would put us back at 6 to 6. I just can't understand right now what I'm seeing. 11 goals in this game between the two sides. It's just unbelievable to see this in high school hockey.
Yeah, it's very unbelievably breathtaking to even watch something like this, especially a powerhouse like Hendricken. 5 goals, and even Moses Brown, on the other hand, 6 goals. It's madness here, and I'm all for it.
Face off here now, won by Hendricken, controlled on the outside to Whitfield. This one's worked back along onto the stick of Drowan. Drowan dumps it across the blue line, out of the reach of Deep Police for a second. It caroms off of the boards, comes back out, and Hendricken's going to have to take it all the way down and recollect as we have 5:35 left to go here in the third period of play. Thank you all for tuning in to RIIL Boys Ice Hockey on SFBN Rhode Island. Carried along here, 1v1 opportunity off the stick of Leahy, and that's kicked aside by Lucier. Again, a shot on goal, this time off of the stick of Whitfield, and Lucier pads it away. Now carried out here by O'Farrell. O'Farrell's bothered on the play, comes down, no penalty called there. Out to the blue line here, and then controlled by Rose back in. This one caroms off the end boards, and skating right in front of the net was Alessandro. And Hendricken will just clear the zone as Tyler Rose will collect it and carry back across. Both teams make a launching shot to score! Tyler Rose just ripped one from the top of the circle, and there you go, it's 6-all.
Wow, this is madness here. I'm speechless at this point. Number 37, Tyler Rose, the junior, with a great shot on goal, getting right past the glove of Carr. And we're knotted up at 6 apiece with 4:45 remaining.
I have a feeling that our production team is going to have a hard time trying to figure out what the Instagram highlights are going to be from this game. There has been a ton of moments, from hits that we've seen at center ice to goals being scored to just everything. I think ultimately we should just make this whole entire game the highlight reel and call it a day.
Plenty of goals to choose from, as we have 12 in this game.
4:43 left to go. 6-all between the Hendricken Hawks and the Moses Brown Quakers. Thank you for tuning in on SFBN Rhode Island. Here's an opportunity now, fired across the net off the stick of Palumbo, just out of the reach of Giuliano. This one's going to come all the way down, and Moretti's going to have to recollect. I'm sorry, I checked that. It's Panacchini. And then this is going to be carried up now here along by Crane. Outside of the reach of Giuliano as it caroms to the end boards and then worked along there by Aiden Agrawal. Now back, and then right out front, and an opportunity for Palumbo. Caroms along the end boards, out to the side, to the blue line. Palumbo has it, skating and switching positions. Comes back here again, and this one was attempted to be going to Griffin Crane. Instead, it's poked out of the zone and comes all the way back down. Palumbo will have it. He's pinched along the play there by Sargent. Now it caroms out to center ice. Off of the stick of Sargent, and then worked alongside. Carried up here by Griffin Crane. Crane has it. He's rubbed out of the play by Rose. Controlled behind the cage there by Hauser. 3:14 left to go in regulation. 6-all. A scrum at the boards to the right of the cage. Left from the camera position. And then now this has worked finally to the blue line. Fired hard by Drowan, and that goes high and wide of everything. Comes back again, this time onto the stick of Travers. Pops back out. Kept in by Drowan. Drowan fires one that squibs up off of the pads of Lucier. And then comes back out one more time for Whitfield. Fires one, and that's kicked aside from the blocker of Lucier. So close there. This one goes to the blue line, evades everybody. It's going to come all the way down. It's going to go wide, and we're going to get an icing and a stoppage of play with 2:21, and Hendricken just had a flurry of opportunity.
I think I could have counted at least 5 or 6 opportunities right there for Hendricken on the last possession. We've seen absolute rockets from number 20, Jack Drowan, just missing the net a couple times on that possession. As we have 2:21 left in the third, could we be seeing an overtime game right here?
We may very well, and I think in the last 2 minutes of this game, we were talking about who we might call as our player of the game. I think we might have to wait on this one.
We might have to wait for this one.
There's still plenty of opportunity left to go. Here's Hendricken controlling it behind the cage. Pops back out, right in front. Shot, and a save by Lucier on the hard shot from Griffin Crane.
Number 31. Wow, I can't. There's not much I can say right there. Number 31, Camden Lucier, flashing the glove on that one from a great opportunity from Hendricken, making the huge save with just over 2 remaining, knotted up at 6.
So we're going to get a face-off here. Dropped down and now controlled for a second back onto the stick of a Nagrawal. This one's going to get worked aside into the neutral zone. Carried across here by Garneau. Garneau's going to get rubbed out of the play by Giuliano. Hendricken regains possession and controls. This one goes off of the stick from number 11, DeFelice, and all the way down the length of the ice. And so with 1:48 left to go, icing and a face-off coming up in the Hendricken defensive zone. Controlled here by the Hawks and moved out of the zone for a moment. The body of Jack LaRose carries it across, and then now here it's moved through by Giuliano. Giuliano works it across. Shot on target there from Drowan, but is saved by Lucier, and then pops off of a few players and carries all the way back. Whitfield will chase it. Icing will get called with 1:24 left to go.
I remember how we were talking a little bit last night and even tonight, how seeing the defenseman shoot, you don't really see much in hockey. Looking at Hendricken, that's a completely different story. Have we seen numerous shots from number 20, Jack Drowan, today, as he continues to be taking shots just under 2.
Face off here kind of caroms through a couple of players, finally controlled by Hendricken, out to the blue line for Whitfield, and then sent back in around the end boards. Giuliano pops back out. Drowan again has an opportunity. This one goes to the corner. Kick back out for Drowan one more time. Then he passes along. Back out. Tic-tac-toe. And an opportunity from Drowan that goes high and wide. Here's to Drowan one more time. Drowan fires it, and it kind of caroms through, but it's saved by Lucier and then pops right back. Dangerous opportunity there as there was an open net. Back to Drowan one more time, looking for it. LaRose carries it around. It pops back out to the center and kicked, and now out of the zone. Nothing called there as 32 seconds left to go here in regulation. Controlled here by Rowan Agarwal now. Comes across onto the stick of O'Farrell. O'Farrell dumps it into the end zone. This is going to get picked up behind the cage with the final 18 left to go in regulation. Moved alongside now, and a player down for Hendricken behind the cage. Looks to be number 23, Colton Whitfield, who took a bit of a tumble. See if his skate got caught in the... He hit an edging in the boards there. The board a little bit out of... Looks like the yellow dasher was a little out of alignment, and his skate hit the edge and took him for a bit of a tumble. With 14 seconds left to go here in regulation, all tied at 6.
Hendricken's going to have to make sure to play some tight defense with 14 seconds on the clock as the faceoff will be in their zone. Tied up at 6.
Puck dropped and then controlled for a second back here, and Crane has it. Pops back out across the blue line, carries all the way down to the final 7. Stick to side here onto the stick of Bernard. Bernard takes a tumble as the horn will sound, and we have completed regulation, all knotted at 6. And so to the 5-minute overtime we shall go.
Coming into the beginning of this game, I don't think anyone, not even Vegas, could predict this one. 6-6, Hendricken, Moses Brown going into a 5-minute overtime. Wow, I mean, Hendricken's been playing great, locking down on defense. Moses Brown answering with only a little bit left in the third. This is a wide open game right here.
And as we head to the 5-minute overtime period, both of the teams will have a brief discussion at their benches, and we will reflect on this one as we have seen a few overtime games already this season. For those of you who are watching that might potentially be new to high school hockey, there is no shootout at the end of the 5-minute overtime period like you see in the NHL. If it is still 6-6 at the end of the 5, that's all she wrote, and we go on to the next game.
Yeah, we actually reported one of those games. We had, who was that one? That one was EG and Burrillville.
Yes.
That ended up tying at 4 apiece at the West Warwick Civic Center, where we will be just in 45 minutes.
A wild Sunday of high school hockey in the state of Rhode Island. We have had games this week on Wednesday night, Friday night, Saturday night. Saturday, 4 games yesterday. And then now, today, 2 on Sunday. We are bringing you all of the high school hockey that we can in the state of Rhode Island. Thank you all for joining us. Overtime underway. Here we go, and it's Drowan carrying along quickly here for a second. It comes off of the post and pops back out. Drowan goes and dumped down on the play there was Henry Alessandro, and this comes all the way down into the zone, and an opportunity here for Moses Brown. And now Moses Brown player tying up there with Colton Whitfield. Everybody is diving every which way they can to gain opportunity here. Aiden Agarwal controls here. Now onto the stick of Rowan Agarwal. It comes all the way down into the defensive zone here. Controlled by Whitfield. Sent back out. Steaming along is Leahy, and it goes on to the pad of Lucier. Pops out. Right out front. Shot, and another save by Lucier on the shot from Griffin Crane. And this one comes all the way down, and icing will get called. 3:56 left to go.
What a great shot and a great opportunity for Hendricken at the start of this overtime. But standing on his head is number 31. We're talking about the youth, the freshman, Camden Lucier, absolutely showing out in this third period and in overtime already early. 6-6.
Lucier has played every minute of Moses Brown Quakers hockey so far this season, and has certainly stood tall to the task. Even in this game where it's 6-6, it might mess around with your goals against average, but if you come out of this game with a tie against a team like Hendricken, that is huge for your program.
We've seen plenty of Division I games so far, and speaking for myself, and I'm guaranteeing you, this Division I division is wide open. We're seeing the powerhouses, we're seeing D2 come-up teams. Come playoffs, this is going to be mayhem.
Face off here just outside of the blue line, and it's controlled for a second by Hendricken. They work it back along on the stick of Giuliano. He's got to be very careful there as he has multiple Quakers players approaching. Now they get it out to Palumbo. Palumbo's going to carry it across the blue line. Right in front, and an opportunity by Owen Leahy Comes back out, controlled again by Palumbo. Palumbo fires and a save by Lucier.
Camden Lucier again flashing the glove with another great save, keeping Moses Brown in this game as they've been on their toes on defense this whole overtime period so far. Looking to hopefully move the puck up and get an offensive possession soon with 3:27 left in overtime.
Face off to the right of Lucier, left on your camera screen position. And this will be dropped and now controlled here, back by Drowan. He fires in. That hits some traffic, so it pops quickly back out. They'll go back to Drowan again at the top of the key. This one is sent back in. Fired again. It hits Lucier, pops all the way back out to the blue line, and then tumbles around. And they are going to have to settle that puck. It is squibbling end over end. This one's going to get sticked aside again. Careful opportunity here. Alessandro picks it up, dumps it to the end boards. Worked around by Drowan. Stops and then changes direction. This is here for LaRose. Carried out one more time. Moved along here by Moretti now. And it goes along to the end boards, and a hit there from Giuliano as Moretti has it pinned to the side. Squibs back out and will be moved by O'Farrell. O'Farrell, long pass that is tapped off by DeFelice, and so it will be picked back up by Drowan. Carries it into the zone. Work to the end boards. Horseshoes it around, and it's picked up by Palumbo. Working methodically. Oh, a back pass by Palumbo goes a little errant, and that's actually finally picked up by Crane. Tapped back in, and now controlled by Leahy. Leahy's going to carry it across the blue line here. Shot by Leahy is kicked aside by Lucier. A shot again kicked aside by Lucier on the attempt from Giuliano. Carrying around here is DeFelice. DeFelice is bumped off the play. That comes all the way back across on the stick of Giuliano for a second before he's bumped off. Moving it along here is Leahy. Comes back out to the top for Crane. Palumbo now. 1:40 left to go in regulation. Fired by Crane. That hits some traffic and then finally comes to the blue line. It taps off of the blade of Crane's stick and comes all the way down, and a high sticking play is called. And so we will get a face-off with 1:30 left to go in regulation.
I feel like every stoppage of play this overtime, I've been mentioning the same person. I think you know who I'm going to say right now. Freshman goaltender Camden Lucier, standing on his head, keeping him in this game single-handedly right now as he's flashed almost 5 or 6 saves. This is the first face-off we're seeing, the first time Moses Brown is in their own zone.
Here's an opportunity for Moses Brown, and a shot that was fired for a second by Noah Silverman, and we're going to get an offsides play. 1:21 left to go.
We have yet to see a shot on goal for Moses Brown in this overtime. We are just over 3 minutes in. We need some offense from Moses Brown right here.
Face off here, won by Hendricken. Oh, a turnover opportunity, and there's a shot on goal from Garneau, but it goes wide. This one comes all the way back out into the defensive zone. Picked up here now offensively on the mishandle, and a shot fired off of the stick of Moretti. Into the final minute to go of overtime. This one from Drowan hits the pad of Lucier. Pops back out to the blue line on the opposite side for Whitfield. Now finally worked around in the final 51 seconds to go. A shot again from Drowan. That one goes wide. This one goes all the way down. If they're not careful, there's a very hard approaching Garneau. Finally picked up into the center, and no one is there except for 4 green jerseys of Hendricken, and it will be carried all the way along by LaRose. His shot attempt is bothered, and it goes to the corner boards. This one's going to kick all the way down. It will get picked up by Griffin Crane in the final 23 seconds. Crane loses an edge. Dangerous possession opportunity there for Cameron Bernard. Pops out to the end. Right in front. A shot and a score by Henry Alessandro. And Moses Brown Quakers have won the game 7-6 in overtime.
What a shot by the sophomore, completing the hat trick as he gets the overtime winner to go, going bar down on the goalie as he puts it away. for the game winner against Hendricken.
I was holding out on who to call as my player of the game until the horn sounded, but I think right there says it. Henry Alessandro, the game-winning goal in overtime. Moses Brown 7, Hendricken 6.
What a game, as we are all insanely shocked after this one, as he gets his third goal of the game. Hat trick for him. I'd also like to give a shout out to number 31, Camden Lucier, for standing on his head in the overtime period, sealing the deal 7-6.
It is 7:21 p.m. in Pawtucket, Rhode Island. In 40 minutes, we will be in Warwick for Prout versus Mount St. Charles on SFBN Rhode Island, sfbnri.com, sfbnri.live. Stay tuned. We will see you in about half an hour. Good night.
Hold